Good Tuesday evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Emily Walls. We had a gorgeous day for many locations across the Great Lakes region. But again today, we were dealing with wildfire smoke in our atmosphere. That's going to continue for several more days. And I've actually gotten a lot of questions online over the last couple of days of what is the AQI, which is the air quality index, and what do those numbers mean? So I'm going to be diving into that today. But first, I wanted to start off with some good news, actually some interesting news. We have our very last full moon of spring that's going to be rising very shortly. So we have a beautiful full moon that is on the way, and it's actually called the strawberry moon. And the reason for that, the reason behind the name is because it's typically around this time of the year when the berry is ripe for picking. So that's why it's called a strawberry moon, but also it's one of the lowest full moons on the horizon. So based on the placement of that and the way that light scatters, it almost has kind of a pink reddish hue to it. So again, we do have that strawberry moon that's going to be rising tonight. If you're hoping to view that, the best time to see it, when it's going to be the largest and the brightest, is going to be after about 2 a.m. Central. And of course, that is 3 a.m. Eastern. So for those of you in the Eastern time zone, that's when you can expect to see that. But it's going to be gorgeous, likely rising here in the next couple of hours. So let's talk now about the air quality index. So you've been hearing a lot about this over the last couple of weeks. So really since late May, we've had a lot of wildfires going on across Canada, and that smoke's been working its way in our direction across a large portion of the U.S. It hasn't just been here in Chicagoland. It's been the Great Lakes region. It's been the upper Midwest. We've had smoke all the way down to the Gulf Coast on a few days, and then especially over the East Coast as well. So what do these numbers mean? Well, typically, if you're in the good category, you have an AQI of 0 to 50, which whenever you see something that sounds good, that's a good thing, right? You don't have to worry about what that means. The air quality is great. But then once you reach into that moderate category, and this is where we've actually been in Chicagoland for the last several days, we're between a level 51 and 100. So typically when you have an AQI that is below 100, it's healthy enough that you can go outdoors, and most groups can go outside and enjoy being outside without feeling any sort of respiratory impacts. But once those levels begin to creep over 100, that's when we start to have some problems. So that orange shading there from 101 to 150, whenever you see that number popping up when we're talking about air quality index, that's considered slightly unhealthy. And not just for sensitive groups, for those that may have COPD or lung or heart disease or possibly asthma. It's also all healthy individuals as well could be impacted. So that's considered to be slightly unhealthy. And then it just gets worse from there. So again, anytime you see a number that is over 100, that's when that should kind of be your cue that it's not healthy air for you to be breathing for extended periods of time, and especially not to be outside doing any strenuous activities. And then taking this a step further, what is AQI and how is it calculated? So it takes into account 5 different pollutants, and one of those is ground level ozone. The second is particle pollution, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen dioxide. But lately, with all of the wildfire smoke, it's basically the particle pollution that we're concerned about. So it's those really small particulate matter that can get into our lungs, eventually into our bloodstream. And unfortunately, a large portion of the United States has been dealing with some sort of air pollution due to those wildfires over the last several weeks. It's been since the very last day of May that we've been seeing some of that streaming down into the Chicagoland area, and there's only been a couple days here or there where it wasn't all that bad. So take a look at the air quality map here. All of the locations that you see highlighted in yellow, that's the moderate category. So again, those levels below 100, where for most areas and most individuals, it's safe to be outside still. You're not really going to feel those respiratory impacts. But take a look in places like North Dakota right now. We have that sensitive group that's going to be impacted and also considered to be just downright unhealthy across the north and northwestern sections of North Dakota. So that's very directly related to the wildfires that are just across the Canadian border right there, where you have that very unhealthy area showing up in purple. So unfortunately, with those west-northwesterly winds, it's bringing that smoke down across the states. Taking things back over to the Great Lakes region and specifically Chicagoland, we're looking at us being in the moderate category, which again, for most of us, we're not even really noticing it, although you will see the pollution in the sky. You're going to see that wildfire smoke. That's why today, when we had completely sunny skies, the skies almost looked like they had white cloud cover, right? It was very milky looking, very whitish in the sky, and that's because of all of the smoke that we had overhead. Now today it was very dense. We should start to see some improvements going through tonight and into tomorrow. So this is a look at futurecast smoke. This is a model that we typically use to see how dense is that smoke several miles into the atmosphere overhead. And you can see as I set this in motion here, taking us through tonight, you see those brighter shades of yellow and the oranges that were previously overhead this evening? Those begin to move off toward the east. Now, there is still some dense smoke that's in the atmosphere stemming from those wildfires through North Dakota, through portions of Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, the UP really going to be in the thick of it going into tomorrow. But in the Chicago area, notice we're still highlighted in that gray shading there. So yes, we're still going to have wildfire smoke, but it's not going to be nearly as dense. And that AQI number that we have is likely going to be lower than what we had today. So we're not far off from being in that good category, and we may actually get there tomorrow. Let's bounce down and talk about the tropics. So we have two storms to tell you about in the eastern Pacific. We had our very first hurricane of the 2025 season that developed Monday morning, but just as quickly as it developed, it's already beginning to fall apart. So let's first focus on Tropical Storm Barbara. This now has maximum sustained winds right around 40 miles per hour, and a tropical storm begins at 39 miles per hour. So once you reach that threshold, that's when you officially have a tropical storm. But about 24 hours ago, this thing had 75 mile per hour winds. So we're beginning to see this weakening very rapidly, and it all comes down to the water temperatures. So it's moving into an environment that is not conducive for tropical activity. We have wind shear that's tearing the storm apart, but also the sea surface temperatures, they're dropping into the 70s. And typically to maintain a tropical storm or a hurricane, you need sea surface temperatures that are right around 80 degrees or higher. Now we have another storm to tell you about, Tropical Storm Cosme, and currently this one is slightly stronger, but it too is very rapidly weakening. So right now we have maximum sustained winds of 50 miles per hour. Wind gusts are up to about 65 miles per hour. And this is only creeping north-northwesterly at about 3 miles per hour. So it's hardly moving. Here's where it's headed over the next day or so. And you'll notice that it's going to drop from a tropical storm just to a tropical depression by tomorrow afternoon, and then eventually just your average low pressure system as those winds begin to drop below the threshold for the tropical storm. Let's take a look now farther to the east, and right along the Mexican coast here, you can see this large shaded area in red. So this is a product that's put out by the National Hurricane Center, and essentially what this is showing us is likely within this region of red, there's an 80% chance of a cyclone developing in the next 7 days. So it's looking more and more likely that we could actually see a tropical depression developing by late this week, possibly into this weekend. So that's going to be 3 possibly in a single week that the eastern Pacific has as far as named storms go. Let's take a look at our satellite and radar now. Big picture view. We have high pressure in control today. That's why we had a lot of sunshine. But notice that really large cold front that's extending all the way from New England down through the East Coast, all the way down to the Gulf Coast. That has been where we've seen quite a few showers, thunderstorms, persistent downpours at times. And that's the same cold front that we were dealing with here in Chicagoland just a couple days ago. So it's very slow moving. Now we're in a very quiet weather pattern, and that's going to last for another day or so. But then starting Thursday, we're going to be in this very unsettled weather pattern across the Great Lakes region. Rounds and rounds of showers and thunderstorms are going to be possible. Now, is it going to be raining that entire time? No, but we're going to have at least periodic showers and thunderstorms. Right now, we also have a severe thunderstorm watch across portions of Texas that's remaining in effect until 9 p.m. And that's because of the dry line, which is basically your dry air mass mixing with a warmer, moist air mass. When those two come together, you get storms. That's why this time of the year, we very oftentimes in the afternoon, the evening hours, have those strong to severe thunderstorms developing in places like New Mexico, places like western Texas. Here at home, we have clear skies, but again, you wouldn't really know it because of that wildfire smoke that's overhead. And that's what we're counting on throughout the overnight and then right on through the day tomorrow as well. But do you see that cold front that's getting closer to us? That's eventually going to be dropping southward and just kind of sagging across the area. And it's going to stay there for days, which is why some portions of the area will be much cooler than others going into the later portion of this week and then likely into this weekend too. If you're on the north side of that front, you're going to be cooler. If you're on the south side of that front, you're definitely going to be on the warmer side. So for those of you near and south of 80, you're likely going to have the warmest temperatures here late this week and going into this weekend. It's also going to be the focus of showers and thunderstorms. We're going to have several rounds being possible going through the later portion of this week, and it looks like some of that could actually be lingering into our upcoming weekend. That includes your Father's Day forecast as well. Coming up right after this break, I'm going to break down our rain chances here locally and also talk about the heat that is right around the corner. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back. We're tracking several rain chances late this week as a stationary front drapes itself right across Chicagoland. And we're going to start to see that activity moving in Wednesday night, likely sticking around into Thursday. But you'll notice it's only a 30% chance. So is it going to be a wash? Absolutely not. We're not concerned about a washout each and every one of these days. In fact, even on Friday, when we have that 60% chance of showers and thunderstorms, even then, it's not expected to be a widespread event. It's just going to be scattered on and off through the day. So there's still going to be plenty of dry hours in the mix for you to be able to enjoy those nice warm temperatures that are going to be in the lower 80s. And then over the weekend, unfortunately, we've had to drag some of those showers and thunderstorm chances into the weekend. The best chance is going to be on Saturday, although we still could have at least a couple stray showers around on Father's Day Sunday. Your daily almanac, we topped out at 77 degrees. Your average is 79, so we're very close to where we should be for this time of the year. And tomorrow, we're counting on highs that are going to be near 90 degrees. It's going to be the first time that we potentially hit 90 again since May 15th. Back on May 15th, that's when we had that rogue 94-degree day, and we haven't seen the 90s since. So hopefully we get a shot at that tomorrow. And with that, I think it's time to talk about the boating forecast. So for those of you that are hoping to get out on the water tomorrow, great day for it. One, because of the wind direction. We're going to have southwesterly winds. And while it's still going to be breezy, when you have southwesterly winds on our side of Lake Michigan, that means fairly calm seas. So 1 to 2 foot waves is what we're expecting for tomorrow, which again, not too bad if you're going to be out on the water. And the Lake Michigan water temperature at the Chicago Crib, I just checked, we're now up to 60, so we're moving in the right direction. Although at the shore, we are up to 62 degrees. Your 5-day forecast as far as temperatures are concerned, 90 degrees expected tomorrow, low 80s Thursday and Friday, and then by Saturday and Sunday, we're expected to be in the lower 70s. And looking beyond the next 5 days, we're still favored to see above average temperatures next week from Monday through Friday. For tonight, we're planning on low temperatures right around 63. In the coming days, again, things look good, but we do have those showers and storms. Tomorrow's our hot day. I'll break down your 7-day forecast coming up on the news at 9. We'll see you then.